The screen you used to buy for $1,500 is now $700, and so people remember those prices. In general, the products that are the highest priced are moving the slowest.
All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty and talk about individual businesses and really what they have to do to survive. I think the banks, as you mentioned before, may be partially a solution, but really don't know right now what's going to happen to the banks because they're still negotiating to get this infusion of money, and we're not quite sure where it's going to be allocated. But I imagine small businesses really have to lean hard on banks because that's the source of business loans that keep them going in bad times.
Right. Well, they are dependent on their bank for a line of credit. I think the average consumer wouldn't recognize that most businesses have a line of credit that they depend on to pay for expenses before they get paid by their customers. Especially service businesses would have that. If you're an architect and you've got a contract but you haven't been paid for it yet, you of course have to provide the services and you depend upon a line of credit for
Is there a lot of cross-pollination as far as advice that businesses are giving each other? You say they talk to one another. I'm sure that you're being asked a lot of questions. Yeah. They learn from one another how to survive, do they not?
They go to basically three places for information. First of all, they talk to their peers in similar businesses. Secondly, they talk to other businesses through organizations like the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce. And then thirdly, they talk to their bankers and their accountants and their attorneys and people like that who are regarded as advisors to small businesses.
You're sort of a comforting blanket, aren't you? I mean, that businesses can wrap themselves around and say, I'm feeling a little better, right?
Well, that's what, when people come to meetings, and they come to lots of meetings at our office, one of the first things they talk about before we get into the formal business is what's happening in your business, here's what's happening in mine, and they share information.
I wonder if they could send clients to one another to help each other out.
But they do. In fact, we have twice a month at our building, we have what we call our referral network, and people come together and they exchange leads and refer other businesses to each other.
All right, you talk about the banks possibly being a help in these troubled times, but you've also made some very strong statements about what the city council can do. And what are those?
Yes. Our recommendations to the city council is that anyone who wants to invest in our community today, if they're a legitimate business, we ought to find a way to fast track that investment, to get the construction going, and so they can hire people. Because if it takes you 2 or 3 years to get through the process, that's not going to do us very much good in the short term. We need to move as quickly as possible on a local level, just like we see the federal government, I think, trying to move as fast as possible at the federal level.
You know, I heard an interesting report today on KFWB that the federal government, or at least those within the congressional circles, are advocating that the federal government come and bail out the state because, as you know, the state economy is in pretty bad shape, and businesses in cities rely on state money to funnel through. There may not be any.
I would not support the federal government bailing out every state and local government. There simply is not enough money in the world to do this. One of the challenges we faced right now is we had some decisions we had to make related to our banks and financial institutions. But we should not imply that we're going to bail out every business in the United States.
But you would agree that the banks need help, and you would go along with the federal government infusing instead of buying, in some cases, these bad loans, putting cash into banks so that we could ease up credit.
That's correct. The banks took their collateral, and in about a 3-month period, that collateral dropped by about 40%. And so the banks needed the injection of capital that you just talked about.
How soon are we going to see it, though? I mean, how soon are we going to actually see the movement of money from the government to the banks to merchants or regular people who want to buy a house or a car.
I think we will see that. We will start seeing that in the first quarter of next year. I like to compare the economy to a term called velocity. If you have $1 and you circulate it 7 times during the course of a year, it looks like there's $7 in circulation. Right now, that dollar isn't being circulated 7 times. It's being circulated 4 times or something like that. And so it seems like there's less money flowing. People simply are not spending money because they're concerned about the future.
Gary, why do you do what you do? I want to get kind of deeper into where your head is. You remind me of a Baptist minister in a way, and that's no insult. I mean, you're very calming and forceful in your approach to this. But do you like being where you are right now?
I love speaking
even in
up.
These times?
I love representing business. I know that for us to come out of this economic downturn, it will be businesses that have to lead the way. Businesses have been the people that have had to lay off jobs so far, and when we recover, it'll be businesses that hire people back.
I want to go deeper than that. I want to know what ticks inside you. What makes you want to be here? What happened in your upbringing, or perhaps in your experience in your earlier life, that said, this is where I need to be, this is where my fellow man needs me to be? Because obviously you're there because you're probably the best at it.
I care a lot about having jobs for people. In my world,
why? Because your parents were out of work when they were younger? I mean, let's get to it.
No, my parents, I grew up on a farm, and I went to a 3-room country school and graduated from a high school with 39 people in my class. So that's where I came from. But my dad was up at 5 o'clock every morning and working till 9 o'clock every night, and we never thought we were rich, we never thought we were poor. We were just like everybody else in the neighborhood. But the value from work, how you feel when you put in a hard day's work and you accomplish something, that's something that I hope everyone has the opportunity to feel.
I feel a little pessimistic, though. I think we've lost that ideal. I just don't feel it. People who really value something and work hard for it. We seem to have lost our way. I mean, do you think we can get that back?
Oh, absolutely.
I think we're going to need to get it back.
Absolutely, we can. It is so important to psyche of individuals to have valuable work to do.
I imagine a business that is down comes to you and says, Gary, it's over. I'm broken. I got to quit. What do you tell them?
Well, we encourage them to hang in there as long as they possibly can. Now, I think that most businesses can make it through this economic downturn unless they are so much in debt that they simply can't get their head out from under the water. But if they're not in a great deal of debt, they will reduce their expenses and find other sources of revenue if they can, and they'll make it through this economic downturn. They'll be like small business people and have been over the years. They will find a way to make it work.
But these bootstraps that they're going to need to pull up, there's going to be people around them to help them do that. I mean, they can't do it alone.
No, they can't do that alone. And we're there to help. We hope that they have a cadre of other folks that they look to for help as well.
Have any regrets at all about being where you are at this place in time? Would you rather be a Baptist minister or something else?
Well, what is more important today than doing everything you can to regain the jobs that we've lost and create more jobs in the future?
Give us a quick example before we go of something that lifts your spirits when you talk to business. Quickly.
That lifts my spirit. It lifts my spirit when they tell me about a new contract that they just got to deliver a service that they'd never been able to succeed at in the past. It makes me feel good when they've just promoted an employee who started with them at the low level and now they've moved into a management position. It makes me feel good to watch a business give to the Salvation Army and the Red Cross and have their employees volunteer at their local school. Businesses do so much for our community.
For sure. Well, let's hope we'll see more of that.
Yes.
Gary Tobin, thanks for being with us, and we hope you can come by again with, I guess, a little more rosy outlook on what's happening.
I plan to.
Thank you. You're watching LA Business Today.
Hey, buddy, what's shaking? We're not prepared for an earthquake. I love the rain. We're not prepared for a flood. Sure, in the movies, this is all pretend, but in real life, you gotta be prepared for any type of an emergency. You can't predict, but you can prepare. Yeah. How'd you know? The ball called Be Prepared at LAFD.org.
LA's restaurant businesses are the heart and soul of the city. Delicious food, creative chefs, smart waiters and waitresses, hard-working kitchen staffs, good management has made eating out one of our favorite pastimes. Very few businesses offer the variety and diversity of ownership we see in the people who work to feed us every day. They are struggling now.
The food and beverage industry right now is suffering a major catastrophe because of our financial scenario. Right now, people are looking for value. They're looking for fantastic food to fill the belly. And they don't want to go to places without naming names that don't offer quality. To keep patrons, to keep on coming back into this restaurant, we have to keep on offering value, keep on offering fantastic service. We have to do some marketing. We have to chase some business now because things are a little tougher. Would we cut out on any ingredients? No. If we find that something is just way too expensive, we just won't buy it. We just will tell our customers we don't have this item on the menu tonight. And we have to keep on looking for a way to get it at a fair price. $7, $8 for lunch, they want to go spend $12, $13 for dinner. Whereas before they were spending $12 for lunch, $25 for dinner. They have to stretch the dollar as long as they have.
While big business is looking to government bailouts to get them out of their crunch, imagine the small business owner in Los Angeles who's just opened a restaurant on San Vicente Boulevard. Haru knows it's going to take long hours and lots of fresh food to keep her customers coming in hopes of surviving this economic downturn.
When I opened the restaurant about 2.5 months ago, well, I didn't know the economy was going to be this bad. We don't have many employees. Most of the time, me and my fiance work here. He goes to fish market every morning because we want to keep food fresh and we can't throw away food at the end. We don't want to do that, but at the same time, we want to keep high quality. So he goes to fish market every morning to buy food for just one day. So that means he wakes up 5 o'clock to go to market and work here until sometimes 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So what we can do is we just work harder. And I think that's the only way to make them come back here. And that's the way we can get this busy someday.
Business is down 30%. And do I see it here? I have been affected. And that is one of the reasons why I've had to go out and get additional business to compensate. We're blessed. Actually, we're lucky more than anything. And that's the best plan because we're going back to basics all the time. And these times, back to basics.
It was my dream. It was my fiance's dream to open our own restaurant. And, we opened it. At least we could get to this point. And not that many people can do it. So if I could get to this point, I can get to another point. That's the hope I have.
Manny Felix has been a working waiter for 35 years. Most of his career has been spent at LA's landmark Hollywood restaurant, Musso and Frank. Manny, welcome to LA Business Today.
Well, thank you for the invitation, and it's an honor and a pleasure to be of service to the city of Los Angeles.
Manny, you are a cultural icon.
Oh, boy.
You have just received this, the Cultural Icon Award 2008 from the International Restaurant and Hotel Awards. Through the charisma, humor, charm, and incredible acumen in dining entertainment, Manny has become a cultural icon and a legend of the American dining industry.
I love what people think of me, and I try to live up to the responsibility of trying to lead by example.
And how are things now? How are things today? What are you seeing at Musso and Frank's?
I see a little slowdown in some of our tourist guests, but I believe that even though our business is a little down and we're trying to stay open, I see the weekenders are quite as busy as we have been for the last 5 or 6 years. During the week, of course, it's a little slow, and not only the economy, but so many things have happened. Industries moving out of Hollywood, like the Hollywood Reporter, Variety, the Directors Guild, the Actors Guild, moving out to West Hollywood, and that has affected our lunch business to the point where it's a little quiet. But all in all, with the help that we have, from the office down to the pot washer, we're all doing our part to make sure that we put up a good product, service, quality of food, which is so important to any restaurant.
And if the quality's not good in the food, it no matter how wonderful of waiter you are, and we know you've got to be exceptional because you didn't win this award for nothing. Your tips depend on the quality being consistent.
Oh, definitely yes, because the quality, and there's an unwritten rule, a lot of people don't return, and they won't say anything, they won't complain, and they just don't return. So the quality has to be up to par.
And Musso and Frank's is keeping the quality up?
Definitely, yes, because it's a tradition that our previous owner insisted on. No matter how good or how bad times are, the quality must not suffer.
Must not suffer. You've waited, no doubt, on many famous iconic people as well. Tell us about some of the famous people you've waited on.
The one that comes to mind at this particular moment is Steve McQueen, Julia Roberts, Eric Roberts, Danny Thomas, Sinatra.
Wow.
No name dropping here. Frank Sinatra. Mr. Frank Sinatra.
Yes.
Oh, Lou Rawls. I never had the opportunity, but I was in the vicinity of Marilyn Monroe.
Ooh.
So
you've waited them on them all.
I have been blessed to, beyond my imagination.
Beyond your imagination.
Right. People that growing up was a figment of imagination. Finally, I got to meet him. I played golf with Telly Savalas. I played golf with a skipper, Alan Hale Jr. And I said, my God, me among these people.
And that's what it's like if you're a waiter in Hollywood. But you're more than just any waiter. There's an art of waiting, isn't there?
Yes.
Tell me about the art of waiting.
Well, I always like to tell a new man or a guy that I'm working with that the definition of a diamond is a piece of coal that's stuck around to do his job. And as you chipped away at that particular coal, you will turn into a diamond eventually. It's up to you to hone up your attitude, your mannerism, your elocution, your articulation, and learn. Before I go to work in the morning, I make sure I read 2 or 3 newspapers. I make sure that I have the news. I make sure that I know the scores of a football game, basketball, or baseball. And I am open to any type of conversation that a guest might discuss with me.
So you can, if someone comes in and meets Manny Felix, they can know that they can have a conversation, they can have a meal, and I think that you probably know when to talk and when not to talk and when to get friendly, and that's an art too.
True. It's an art because sometimes you have to be a little firm, but most of the time flexibility is the mode of the day. Many years ago there was a gentleman sitting on stool number 1, and he comes to me and says, you know, you are amazing. I says, what are you talking about? I've been watching you and you've been talking politics, boxing, baseball, basketball without missing a skip. Now I'm aware of it, but then I wasn't, that I had the facility to just transform myself into whatever the topic of conversation happened to be.
Where were you born, Manny?
I was born in Mexico, Nogales, Sonora, Mexico.
And when did you come to the United States?
I must have been maybe 6 or 7 in Nogales, Arizona. I went to school there, and it was a quaint, beautiful little town.
And did you ever imagine that you were going to run with the rich and famous in Hollywood when you were little?
Never.
Any tips that you would give to waiters right now who are experiencing the ups and downs of the economy? I mean, you've been doing it for 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
What's a tip? What do they do? How do they remain optimistic and stick with the job?
Well, hard work for one, too. Grooming is another good thing. And I try to tell some of the guys that don't patronize, because we do have a lack of etiquette as far as gratuity is concerned. I have seen cases where a person will pay their check and the waiter will say, do you want any change back? I said, that's a no-no.
Right.
Don't do that. See, the word tip means to ensure promptness. So you do the best you can and expect nothing in return.
And if you do that?
You're going to make it. You're going to make it. They're going to give you more.
All right.
Because, you know, it is an industry of gratuity.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your illustrious career. Congratulations on your award. Manny Felix, an icon in Hollywood at Musso and
Well,
Frank's.
thank you so much for having me. And I'm just your humble servant. Thank you.
Thank you, Manny. I'm Sharon Jimenez, and that's LA Business Today.
LA City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
Los Angeles, and welcome to the City Council meeting for Friday, January 30th, 2009. We're here in the John Ferraro Council Chamber, room 340 of City Hall. We meet here every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. The first Friday of the month, we try to get down to City Hall in Van Nuys, where we are broadcast live on those meetings when we are here in council chambers. I want to thank the council members who are here pursuant to council rules on time. Council members Alarcon, Labange, Perry, and Zine. We are awaiting Mr. Cardenas, Mr. Huizar, Mr. Parks, Mr. Reyes, Mr. Rosendahl, Mr. Smith, Mr. Weiss, and Mr. Wesson, who are late. If they can make their way down, please, as soon as possible. Ms. Gruhl and Ms. Hahn are excused today for city business. We meet here, as I mentioned, every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we are broadcast live on Channel 35. And we want to welcome our city's cable system viewers on Channel 35, as well as those members of the public who are here in council chambers and in our Van Nuys council chambers. We are available not only through the television, but also online at our city's homepage at lacity.org, and click on the links to the left, and you can watch live webcasts of our council meetings or rebroadcast through our archived footage of past council meetings. Finally, you can use your telephone to listen in as well. If you're not close to a computer or a television, you can call the number 213-621-CITY. That's 213-621-CITY, and you can listen to the audio proceedings of any of our committee meetings or the full council here in council chambers. Our agendas are in the back. And if anybody would like to see those, we can pick up a copy there. Those are made available 72 hours in advance or 24 hours in advance for our special meetings. Those are available at the city clerk's office, here in council chambers, or online, again, at lacity.org. If you'd like to give any public comment today on any of the items that are on the agenda for public comment, just fill out a speaker card in the back and hand that to one of the sergeants at arms. We'd be happy to incorporate your comments today. We also have a section of the meeting for general public comments. That is for items that are not on the agenda, but nevertheless under the city's jurisdiction. If you'd like to give general comments, please just fill out a speaker card in the same manner and put general comment in the upper right corner and hand that to the sergeants at arms. Each speaker will receive 2 minutes, and there's a clock there to help guide your time for the council. Each Friday we begin with presentations that are marking important dates, people, and events in Los Angeles, a way of bringing the city's best together. And I know we have some very special presentations today, one of them which includes our mayor. But I'd like to recognize Ms. Perry, the councilwoman from the 9th District, where we are right now, to begin the presentation, our very first presentation for a very special month. Ms. Perry.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I have the privilege, I believe, of welcoming various council generals into the chamber first. They're going to be escorted in just a minute, and I'm going to name them and welcome them. Maybe I'll just start. These are very important people, not only here on behalf of their home countries, but here in the city of Los Angeles. And I'm pleased to welcome them as part of African American History Month. Members of countries from Africa and various parts of the Caribbean, South Africa. And I would start off with the Consul General of Ethiopia, if the Consul General is here. Maybe we should just give this a second, give them a chance for everybody to arrive.
Sure.
If you can give me a minute. Okay, I guess I must not be here yet. They're not here yet?
They're not lined up. They're not out there.
Okay. Okay. I understand they're walking down the hallway right now. Okay. Caught me off guard. Okay. Okay. Hi.
Thank you again to the council members that are here on time. Council members Alarcon, Gruel, who was excused, as I mentioned, but is here nevertheless. Mr. Labange, Ms. Perry, Mr. Reyes, and Mr. Zine. Still awaiting Mr. Cardenas, Mr. Weezar, Mr. Parks, Mr. Rosendahl, Mr. Smith, Mr. Weiss, and Mr. Wesson. Thank you.
He's going to go into public.
Thank you again for your patience. We're just waiting for the consular corps to arrive, and we will be beginning our festivities for the celebration of African American History Month shortly. We also have two other presentations that will follow that. Mr. Reyes, I know, is going to be welcoming the Miss Chinatown and court, and we're very pleased to see them here as well. And CD7, Mr. Alarcon, will be making a special presentation today on Give Kids a Smile. So sit tight, and we will be beginning the African American History Month celebrations momentarily, and then we'll hear from Mr. Reyes and Mr. Alarcon. Ms. Perry?
Council generals will come in first, and then I'll introduce them
Okay.
as soon as I get the signal.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl, who has joined us now. We are at 8 members and waiting 2 more. Mr. Cardenas, Mr. Weezar, Mr. Parks, Mr. Smith, Mr. Weiss, and Mr. Wesson, if you'll please join us. As soon as we have 10 members, that constitutes 2/3 of our 15-member body and quorum, and we can conduct some of the formal business as well as the presentations for today. So sit tight, and we'll begin shortly. Welcome to our guests. And Ms. Perry?
Thank you again, Mr. President, and I would like to begin by introducing the Consul General of Ethiopia, Atskisi Selassie, Atski Selassie, Consul General of Ethiopia. Next, the Consul General from Kenya, Mary Kamal. Consul General from Kenya, Mary Kamal. Next, Consul General from South Africa, Jeanette Anluvu. Jeanette Anluvu. The Consul General from Belize, Roland Henry York. And the Consul General, Deputy Consul General from Brazil, Bernardo Velasco. Bernardo Velasco. The Honorary Consul General from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Kadrine Emmanuel Gill. And from Burkina Faso, Honorary Consul Alan Neiman. Let's give them a big round of applause. And in just a moment, I believe we'll be welcoming the mayor into the chambers. Okay. I'd like to thank all of the Consul Generals for their work and wish them all of the very best as some of them move on to their next posts, and thank them for their service to Los Angeles on behalf of their country, men and women. And now is the mayor coming in now? I didn't see it in here. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. I'm sorry to welcome Dr. Thomas Robertson from Lukasa, Zambia. Sister City. Sister City. And now it's a pleasure to welcome our Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa and friends into the chamber. This one on? Okay. And thank you again. Good morning. I'm pleased to stand here with the mayor and special dignitaries and honorees this morning to help kick off the African American History Month here in the city of Los Angeles. Today we recognize, commemorate, and celebrate the rich history and contributions that African Americans have made to our great nation. This is a time for us to share our accomplishments and to celebrate them and ensure that the next generation of Los Angelinos has an opportunity to learn of our rich history. And this year is a special year because of the election of our first African American president for these United States. And so I'm proud to have the opportunity to reflect on our massive, seismic, and cataclysmic shift in history for African Americans, not only in this city, but in the world.
Ms. Perry?
Again, I want to thank the mayor.
Just real briefly, everybody, you can be seated, please.
Again, I want to thank the mayor for hosting this special month in our city. And before I turn over the podium to the mayor, again, I want to thank all of the honorable members of the Consular Corps who are represented here today, and just ask them to rise one more time and be recognized by the audience, if you would please. Thank you very much. They have accomplished a lot on behalf of their countries here in Los Angeles. And again, thank them and wish them well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Reverend Lawson.
Mr. President. Can I use this one?
We can grab the handheld microphone.
All right.
There you go.
I guess we have technical problems. Is that it? Well, first of all, let me acknowledge this chamber, as I often say, in response to press inquiries about why we have such a great relationship. As I said, I served on this council, and so anytime I get an opportunity to come back here to make a presentation, it's indeed an honor, and I want to thank President Eric Garcetti for allowing me to be here today. Let me also acknowledge the Consular Corps who's here with us and the Consul Generals in attendance. We think it's important to invite those representatives of the many nations that make up the most diverse city here in the United States of America, and we want to acknowledge them. And of course, our council members, thank you for joining us today. Now, before we present awards to our distinguished honorees, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the tremendous circumstances under which we're joined here today. In 1959, 2 years before President Obama was born in Honolulu, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King visited Hawaii and addressed the state's legislature. It was a dark year for the civil rights movement. Those hard-fought gains we all know so well were still years away. And standing in the midst of the Pacific, Dr. King spoke about the ultimate goals of the civil rights movement, its potential to free the soul of America. He ended his remarks with a quote from a preacher who had once been a slave. And that preacher said, "Lord, we ain't what we want to be. We ain't what we ought to be. We ain't what we're going to be. But thank God we ain't what we was." Now, 50 years later, our work remains incomplete. Inequality persists. Prejudice still exists in too many corners of our nation. We are still not where we want to be. But having just come back from an historic and transformative day in our nation's capital last week, I think I can safely say that all of us are renewed with a fresh sense of hope that we're closer than ever to where we're going to be. I never doubted that this day would come, and I doubt that we will one day live in a world free of the petty intolerance that has held us back from even greater progress. But as we reflect on the history of African Americans, on the tragic legacy of slavery, on the struggles against Jim Crow and segregation, as we usher in a new era marked by the majority of Americans who cast their ballots for change and voted to send Barack Obama and his beautiful family to the White House. And he does have a beautiful family, doesn't he? Let us all celebrate and reflect on those words. Thank God we ain't what we was. Now, I am honored today to present African American Heritage Month awards to 3 extraordinary individuals, all of whom I can truly say I can count as friends. Beginning with my friend, my mentor, a man who's a giant in the civil rights movement, the Reverend James Lawson. It was a meeting with Dr. Martin Luther King in 1957 that sent the Reverend James Lawson packing from Ohio and down south to help heal the wounds in the racially charged cities of Birmingham, Alabama, and Little Rock, Arkansas. From there, Reverend Lawson helped coordinate the Freedom Rides in 1961, the Meredith March in 1966. He stood shoulder to shoulder with Dr. King in the Memphis sanitation workers' strike of 1968. And on the eve of Dr. King's tragic assassination, the great civil rights leader called Reverend Lawson the leading theorist and strategist of nonviolence in the world. Now, Reverend Lawson's service to a higher calling of justice and nonviolence took him to new heights. He would eventually travel the world spreading a message of love, peace, and nonviolence. In 1974, the Reverend Lawson moved to Los Angeles to become the pastor of Holman Methodist Church. And even after retiring in 1999, he continued to preach, teach, and lead workshops on nonviolence throughout the nation. To anybody who has come to know this man, it is clear that this country and our world are a better place because of the life and work of the Reverend James Lawson. He has shared in this incredible journey with his wife, Dorothy, their 3 sons, John, Morris, and Seth, and their 3 grandchildren, Raven, Devin, and James Charles. I am truly honored today to present the African American Heritage Month Spirit of Los Angeles Award to the Reverend James Lawson.
I want to express my appreciation to the mayor and to the others who were part of this committee and for this award, Spirit of Los Angeles Award. Let me just simply tell you how pleased my wife and family are about it, and I'm grateful for being able to be here. One of the great things of being 80 years of age is to live to see certain things happen that you never expected to happen. And I want to simply say that let us make this month of African American history and the rest of it a way of helping our nation to become a diverse nation in justice and truth as well as in spirit. We have come a long way, but we have a difficult journey ahead of us. And I hope that all of us in these days will commit ourselves again to how each of us can be engaged in making this nation fulfill the dream of a society of self-governance and a society of equality, liberty, and justice for all. That means all. Every boy, every girl, no matter who they are, whatever creed or culture or language or color or gender, means every boy and girl will have access to what in my tradition is called the tree of life. Thank you very much.
For all of us who have enjoyed her music throughout the years, we all know that Natalie Cole is truly unforgettable. Natalie Cole has stirred our souls ever since her 1975 debut album, Inseparable. For that album, she was honored with the Best New Artist Grammy Award, making her the first African American to achieve such an honor. But it's not just her music that makes Natalie Cole a hero and a role model to so many people across L.A. It's the harmony of philanthropy and service that has lifted the lives of countless Angelenos. The Natalie Cole Scholarship Award helps teachers in training and education who work with homeless children. Natalie has devoted herself to numerous organizations and causes like the Children of Diabetes Foundation, Breast Cancer Research at Cedars-Sinai Hospital, the Rainforest Foundation, the American Red Cross, and AIDS Project LA. Recently, after a 4th and 5th grade students at Angeles Mesa Elementary School held their first spelling bee, Natalie held a screening for them of the film Akeelah and the Bee. I saw that film. That was great. And for all the work she has done for Los Angeles and all the music she has shared, I'm pleased to present the Dream of Los Angeles Award to my friend, a great artist and a great human being, Natalie Cole.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. I don't want to have take up too much time to just say thank you so much, Mayor. Mayor Villaraigosa called me as he was getting ready to be inducted to be the wonderful mayor of our city, and he called me on my cell phone. I was so shocked, and he personally asked me if I would be a part of that ceremony, and we've been good friends ever since. So I have a very special place in my heart for this man, and I think that at this time in my life, I'm just very excited. And as Reverend Lawson said, I too am recommitted to be engaged again, just because of what I was able to witness on January 20th, 2009. It has given me also a new perspective and just a new energy to be of service, to continue to be of service to the people of this city, as well as, if I can, the people of the world. One person can really make a difference, and we just are very happy that you would even give us this kind of an honor, because it's really nice. You don't know just what people are thinking until something like this happens, and then you go, okay, I can do this, I can do this. And so I'm very happy to be here this morning, and thank you all. And I see some of my friends that I don't get a chance to see very often. Thank you for being here, and I love you. God bless you.
We have a world-renowned, 4-time Emmy Award-winning actress with us today. Alfre Woodard is a woman of incredible talent, poise, and grace. Her portrayals on stage and screen have illuminated us on the spectrum of the human condition. Off-screen, she is at center stage in the effort to eradicate AIDS, ensure equality, and inspire young people into meaningful acts of service. As the founder of the nonprofit Artists for a New South Africa, she has dedicated herself to combating the African AIDS pandemic and advancing democracy and equality in South Africa. For her work and her contribution to the arts, I'm pleased to present the Hope of Los Angeles Award to Alfre Woodard.
Thank you so much, Mayor Villaraigosa. Thank you for welcoming us into the chambers, and thank you everybody that's here today and everybody out on the lawn. Thank you to my family and friends who came to stand with me today. I have a bit of chat to have later out on the lawn, but let me just say right now, I have been in LA for 35 years, and as I travel the world, we go a lot of remarkable places, meeting people, making the connections all around the globe, spreading the message that not only do we have the same needs in our communities and neighborhoods across LA and LA County, but we have them across the globe. And when people ask me, where are you from? I never say America, I never say California, I say LA.
Yeah.
And no matter...
Yeah, I like that. That's
no matter what language they're speaking, they go, ah. So I just want you to know that I am definitely a proud, proud sister of LA, and I am so appreciative of this.
That's great. And now I'd like to introduce you to the real smoking gun behind all the Heritage Month events. Andrea Gibson is a woman dedicated to the city of Los Angeles and always willing to put some extra work to make these celebrations successful. I want to thank, once again publicly, the Walt Disney Company and Andrea Gibson for all the time and resources they've devoted to this Heritage Month, to all of our Heritage Month. It is important for us to celebrate the diversity of LA. It's important for us to acknowledge the contributions of the many people that make up this city. A generation ago, that might not have happened. And today, because of the support of Walt Disney Company, we're able to do that. Let me bring up Andrea Gibson with the Disney Award. Look at that, give you a gift
I love it. I love it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, and guests. First, I would like to congratulate all our wonderful, distinguished honorees who are so inspirational to all of us. You give us hope and show us that in spite of challenges, that dreams can be realized. So thank you for that. And on behalf of the Walt Disney Company, we are proud once again to be here to take part in this wonderful cultural celebration. Disney is a multicultural company, not only in our content and reach around the world, but also within our own employees and lines of businesses. We believe that a diversity of opinions and ideas enhances our creativity and makes us better and stronger. And so we are honored to join you in recognizing the important role that African Americans play in our community as we work together towards building a brighter future for our children and families. So thank you for having us here.
Now, our Authors Study Club has been giving their all for African American Heritage Month year after year after year. They bring us together for this wonderful occasion, and without them, this day and month of extraordinary activities and events would not be possible. I'd like to bring up Dr. Genevieve Shepard, our Authors Study Club president, for a few words. Long before this mayor or any mayor was celebrating African American Heritage Month, you were providing and elucidating so many people on the roles and the contributions of African Americans to this city and to this great country. I want to acknowledge your work and thank you for everything you do. And finally, I'd like to bring up or ask the council members, invite them to say a few words.
Some council members that would like to speak as well. And Mr. Clerk, if you'll just call the roll so we can be in session officially as well.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosenthal, Smith, Moses, and Garcetti. 12 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. Our first speaker is Mr. Rosendahl and then Mr. Alarcon. Just before Mr. Rosendahl speaks, if we could take up the first items that were agendized for public hearing, please, and call number 1 special for a card, and just to take up 2 through 6, we can please prepare the roll on those and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you. That is approved. Mr. Rosendahl.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I just want to do a shout out for the Reverend James Lawson. Reverend Lawson, you and I go back, obviously, 25 years. You not only are a major living legend, but when we did a personal best series with you, you're a role model to society, and it's been always a privilege and a pleasure to work with you. Your remarks were obviously clear. There's a long way to go, but with Barack Obama, at least every young person can say, if he can do it, I can go anywhere. So the hope that has come out of that, you are alive to see it, and I know that Dr. King is looking down on all of us today and saying, God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Alarcon is the next speaker.
I, too, wanted to especially thank the mayor for recognizing James Lawson. It's with the likes of Natalie Cole and Alfred Woodward, it's difficult to keep the sort of celebrity tone with a civil rights activist. Dr. Lawson is not Reverend Lawson is not a household word, but he, amongst those who have been fighting for social justice, is well known because he has never wavered on progressive issues. He has never used progressive issues to seek celebrity, but truly to seek change. He is one who understands that social justice is just not about a racial issue. It is an economic issue. It is an education issue. It is a civil rights issue. It transcends everything that we do. And I know that he is especially pleased this year that we have reached another hurdle in the goal to achieve full civil justice in our country with the election of President Obama. So I just wanted to say, James, thank you so much for being a role model to others who have wavered and others who have not been consistent, because this year I think you're proving them wrong. And if they stayed the course, we might have been here 8 years ago and not had to suffer the troubles we did in the last 8 years. But God bless you, continued success. The movement will never stop.
Thank you, Mr. Labange.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, Mr. Mayor. Olga Garay from our Cultural Affairs Department, which is so important that we spread the culture of Los Angeles. The awardees, Reverend Lawson, all of us here in this room. The great thing about this City Hall, that the doors were opened long ago by Tom Bradley. And I just want to put a little plug in for Tom Bradley. Okay? I was on his youth council when I was a youth. And now the tower is named after Tom Bradley. Today is a beautiful day in Los Angeles because we celebrate the start of this month. Take time afterwards to take the elevators to the top, and you can see this great city from this great City Hall, from the Tom Bradley Tower. Congratulations to the awardee winners. God bless you all. And the great thing about this city is we're all here to make it better. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Mayor, thank you for putting such energy behind this month. And I don't think you get sufficient credit. This is what you do every day, but we just happen to celebrate it on once a year. But I think what's so important, and I think what in the time that we've spent, whether it's Reverend Lawson or Natalie Cole or Ms. Woodard and my principal over there, Ms. Shepard, what I think we have to keep realizing is that we see something that most of us thought we'd never visualize in our lifetime. But what is most important to me is remember in the city of LA, those people that were the first school teachers, those people that were the first park and rec supervisors, those people that were the first janitors who one of them actually became a city council member. Those people actually set the foundation and caused these bridges to occur. And I don't think we can forget what the president has said. Yes, he's the president, but he's also asking us for self-responsibility and for people to take accountability for their actions and to be successful in their own right. So it's just not, and I think we all are under that glow of the change, but I don't think we can forget about where we've had people in this city years ago that they would not allow people of color to swim in the city swimming pools except on Thursday because they dumped it on Friday. I don't think we can forget about the covenants in the property at Leimert Park where Tom Bradley broke that, where you couldn't buy a house because the covenant said people of color or Asian descent couldn't live in this area over 24 hours. Those are the real heroes that we are celebrating, and I so think that we have to be able to remember them. And growing up on the east side of the city of Los Angeles at 33rd and Central, I used to walk past the only fire station that a black firefighter could work in, and that was at 34th and Central. So these are the kinds of things I think we have to remember as we've come a long way. There are people that are unnamed, unknown, the 5,000 people that were lynched well before Jim Crow in the United States. Those are people that served the high price to give us a chance to wake up this morning and have an option and a choice to come in and celebrate those who are here today. And I want to say special thanks to Natalie Cole, who the last time I saw you perform at USC, and you did a wonderful job. And certainly appreciate what you've done in the city of Alfred. Thank you for what you're doing, and I'm glad that you always refer to yourself as LA resident. I think the last time I saw you, it was at the convention in Boston, where we were there when we saw this young fellow up there make a keynote speech, and everybody was wowed. Now, 4 years later, he's the president. And Reverend Lawson will always thank you for being one of the original freedom riders that really set the tone for so many things that have occurred in this country. So thank you for being here. Thank you for doing what you're doing. But we should all remember all those unnamed heroes that we all have benefited from.
Thank you, Ms. Perry.
Thank you, Mr. President. We began this morning by introducing the various consul generals from countries such as Brazil, the Grenadines, Kenya, South Africa, just to name a few. And forgive me, I don't have my list in front of me if I've not named your country. But I wanted to highlight the point that within the African American context, many of us have origins in many of those countries, and that is what binds us and connects us. And it's a teaching moment, not only a teaching moment because we've finally matured and evolved as a country to be able to elect a person of color as our president, which should bring us together. He's a president for all people, not just people of African descent, but it is a manifestation of our growth as a people to be able to achieve that and accomplish that. But I still think that there is more work to be done, and I was struck by witnessing a ceremony one night down at LA Live, and I think the mayor was there, where we saw a friend, a man we both know, from a radio station. It's Carlos Alvarez from K-Love. Very handsome man, and Spanish is his first language, English is his second language, and it was fascinating to me to be able to watch him speak first in English and then in Spanish, and to watch people's faces change as he spoke, because perhaps they could not fathom that a person whose skin was that dark would speak Spanish as their first language. And so, to me, it shows that we still have a great distance to travel, so that if we truly become the global city, and I would say that we are the first city, way ahead of everyone else in this country in understanding the connections from the countries represented here, and how we have evolved and why we are here together in many shades, many ethnicities, many languages, and that there should be no barriers to anyone. That's why this month is so important. And in America, anything is possible.
Thank you very much, Ms. Perry. Mr. Wesson.
I want to thank you, Mr. President and members. You know, the one thing, I've been in this business to know that when you speak towards the end, all of the good stuff is already taken. But I do feel compelled to rise to congratulate your honorees this year. They're all deserving. But for Reverend Lawson, this has to be a phenomenal time for him, in the sense that people really need to recognize all of the doors that were slammed in his face and other individuals like him, and to be able to live long enough to see what occurred on January 20th. And Mr. Mayor, you also need to look at, you've got dignitaries from all over the city, and I look around, I see some wonderful artists that are here in the crowd tonight, and I see one of my favorite artists, Blair Underwood, is here in the front. Blair, could you stand up, let people see you, give you a round of applause? And also in the corner, Babu, raise your hand. This guy organizes the Pan-African Film Festival. And the reason why I say that is when I was first elected to the city council, I was honored by the Pan-African Film Festival, and so was Mr. Underwood. And part of the award that we received, they did a DNA test so that it would trace our roots. And we were all on the stage, and I was so excited to find out that my parent on my mother's side came from Sierra Leone. And Blair was next to me, so excited, because he was the next person that was going to find out his roots. And they opened the envelope, and they looked, and they said, Blair, your people came from China. Remember that? Remember that? Anyway, again, to all of the awardees, congratulations. And to my brother, you're still my brother, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Weston. Mr. Reyes.
I'll be brief. I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much on behalf of all the young people who will continue to be inspired not only by the president of this great country, but the folks who do the everyday work. So I want to thank you on behalf of those children who need that support, that inspiration. And as we celebrate these days, they will continually hopefully have that sense of encouragement because of your accomplishments. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for having this month to acknowledge all these great accomplishments. Thank you.
Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Reverend Lawson, congratulations to you. It's always a pleasure to see you in our council chambers. To our mayor, the mayor of the people of Los Angeles, the mayor who reaches out and embraces the culture, the ethnicity, the diversity of Los Angeles, and to our Cultural Affairs Department to put together a wonderful, wonderful book, all the wonderful activities taking place. So to our African American population here in Los Angeles, our mayor brings people together. He unites people. We have our fire chief. I don't know if you're going to be introduced or not. You're sitting over there. Our fire chief. We should introduce. Are you going to do it? Okay, I'm sorry, Mayor. I don't want to step on your toes. Didn't want to neglect our fire chief, but to see how many things have changed over the years. I remember when Gil Lindsay was a city councilman, and I was a member of the LAPD, and he used to stop and talk to the cops all the time, a man who rose to the ranks of elective office in this city, and a lot of glass ceilings have been broken since that time. So, Reverend Lawson, congratulations, and to our population, to the council generals from all over the world that are gathered here today, congratulations and thank you all. It's a wonderful day in Los Angeles, a city of diversity, a diversity of unity, and a city that is always prospering. God bless you and thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Our city attorney, Rocky Delgadillo, is here as well. I'd like to say a few words as well. Mr. Delgadillo.
That's a good one. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Use the handheld there. We're out on that one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Some might say that in these tough economic times, this is not the time to celebrate. But I say it's exactly the right time to celebrate. For all of us to come together as a team, as a family, as a city. And what better to celebrate than the amazing culture that we have in this city. And I've said many times before that there is but one race, the human race, and all the rest is culture. And what beautiful culture it is that we have in this city. To our honorees, Natalie, Alfrey, Reverend Lawson, your beauty is powerful, and your presence in this city makes us proud. Thank you for being the angels that we call this city of angels, and have a wonderful African American Heritage Month. Thanks so much.
And finally, before we return it to the mayor, let me just add one anecdote and make one other point. Ms. Perry mentioned that it was a surprise of some to see somebody speaking Spanish who came of African descent, but as the mayor is fond of saying this, we all acknowledge this city was founded by men and women of African descent who spoke Spanish, who came here, founded this city. This city has been built by men and women of African descent.
42 original settlers were of African descent.
Those original pobladores, but then it has been made strong by men and women of African descent who built this city, literally, and it will continue to be one of the great cities of the world because of the population here that is of African descent as well. And it was in the cold climates of Iowa that I wanted to share a quick story that I remember during the presidential caucuses. And I was going door to door in what was not a neighborhood of many people of African descent. And I knocked on the door of an older man who was Caucasian, a white man who opened the door, and I was there to campaign for a skinny senator from Illinois named Barack Obama. And he said, you know what, his politics are too far to the left for me, but there's something about him. There's something about him that I want to vote for him. And we talked for a while, and we got him to go into the yes column. And in that moment, it made me realize that while there is plenty of racism and so much further we have to go, that all the commentary about whether or not we could elect a black president concentrated on the racism and didn't recognize the progress. And I think long before the November vote, sometime in the last couple of years, we reached a tipping point in which America, there are more people willing to take a risk, even on somebody who might have slightly different politics than them, precisely because they were of African descent. And it was time for America to face its past and to walk bravely into its future, that we elected somebody. And that tipping point happened one day when none of us were looking, none of us were out there, but where the hope of this nation outweighed the racism and the past of this nation. And that's what I celebrate this African American Heritage Month this year. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was also going to acknowledge Blair Underwood. As I understand, you're chairing the Pan-African Film Festival this year, and let's give him a big hand. And Kim Wayans is also here with us, I understand. Where? Somewhere. There she is. Give her a big hand. Kim Wayans is here with us. Now, before I unveil the calendar, I did want to say something about Doug Barry. And when I hired Doug Barry, the fire department was under turmoil. There were allegations, there was controversy, there was a great deal of polarization. And lo and behold, I heard the name of Doug Barry. And it came from every part of the department. The organization representing Latino firefighters, the organization representing women firefighters, the organization representing the command staff of the fire department, the union, the organization representing black firefighters. And in the course of their recommendation, not a one of them mentioned his ethnicity, his race. And when he came into my office to meet him, lo and behold, I was completely taken by surprise. And I think it said a lot about him, about them. And we didn't make a big deal about the fact that he was the first, because at the time, the fact of the matter is he was picked not because he was the first, but because he was the best. And I want to acknowledge my friend, the chief of the Los Angeles Fire Department, best fire department in the United States of America, the first African American chief, Douglas Barry. And now, I'd like to bring up and unveil the calendar. Let me just say the African American Heritage Calendar is only produced once a year. It features art from African American artists, much of which has been displayed in my office, I might add, from time to time. This year's honorees and includes events throughout Los Angeles County celebrating African American Heritage Month. So that all of you understand, we don't just have a celebration today. We have a series of educationals all month long, where we bring in every part of the city to acknowledge the contributions, to acknowledge the important people in our city from the African American community. And so it is an opportunity for us to connect with one another that I think is very special. If I can have the council members come up with me so we can unveil and our Authors Study Club and the honorees. And I understand that CCH Pounder is here. Yeah, the Shield actress and artist. Our honorees.
They're turning it either. They're turning it.
finally, let me just acknowledge that Jackie Castillo is here, one of the legacy leaders as well. And finally, let me acknowledge Artis Lane, who's here with us, the great American artist who has done a bust of President Barack Obama, which will be unveiled in just a moment on the South Lawn steps. And I want to thank her, a previous honoree as well. Thank you very much, and thank you to the council for allowing us to come and be here and celebrate this day. Thank you. Reverend Lawson.
Thank you again for that very special presentation. And we will next be going to a presentation from Councilmember Ed Reyes as soon as we clear out the chambers. If we can ask the sergeants at arms to assist us with that. Thank you. While we're doing that, Mr. Clerk, let's go ahead and run through the agenda. If we can take up the next items, 7 through 20, please.
Mr. President, the minutes should still be approved.
Oh, sorry. If we can move those. Mr. Parks moves and Mr. Alarcon seconds the minutes. Without objection, those will be approved. Next order of business.
And commendatory resolutions for approval.
All right. I'll move those and Mr. Smith seconds. Without objection, those will be approved as well. If we can go to the next items on the agenda, please.
Next items 7 through 20, are items for which public hearings have been held. There is a request to send item 18 back to the Rules and Government Committee.
Okay, if there's no objection, we'll send item number 18 back to Rules and Government.
And there's a request to continue item 19 to Tuesday, February 3rd.
Okay, if there's no objection, we'll continue item 19 to the 3rd of February. Yes, Ms. Perry?
I can't get to my microphone the right way.
Go ahead, Ms. Perry.
But I can't get to my seat because it's so crowded, but I wanted to move the CLA report into item 16.
Okay. The CLA report on item 16. Are there other specials? Items 7 through 20. 7 through 20, any other special items? If there are not, let's go ahead and open the roll on the balance.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mr. Smith?
number 18, please. I have some questions.
We referred that back to Rules and Government. Okay. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Those are approved. If we can send 7 forthwith without objection, please. Next items.
Items 21 through 37 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
If I can ask the Sergeant at Arms, thank you so much for everybody who has come. If I can ask folks to please keep their conversations to a minimum while we get through the business of the council meeting as well. We are now on items 21 through 37. Mr. Reyes?
I'm sorry, can we call 18 special?
18 was referred back to Rules and Government.
It's going back?
Yep, it's going to go back there. So,
Mr. President, there is a request to continue item 28 to Wednesday, February 4th.
Okay, without objection, we'll continue item 28 till the 4th or the 3rd?
February 4th, Wednesday.
February 4th, okay. That leaves us with 21 through 37. 37, there's been a substitute motion, is that correct?
I understand one is in the works. The clerk has not received it yet.
Okay, let's call that special. And we have cards from the public as well on that. Do we have any other cards from the public?
Yes, Mr. President. There are cards on item 27, 29, and 35.
Okay. We'll open and close the remainder of the public hearings. Any specials, colleagues? 21 through 37. 21 through 37. Seeing no others, we'll go ahead and open the roll on the balance, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Those are approved. If you can call the roll for the special meeting, please.
You wish to recess the regular and go into the special?
Yes, please.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Park, Perry, Reyes, Oswald Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti. 12 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. All right. First item.
This is a one-item agenda. Item 38 is an item for which public hearing has not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration, and there is a card on that.
Okay, let's call that special then for the card from the public on item 38. And if we can return to...
Do you wish to recess the special and go back to the regular?
Please, and we'll recognize Mr. Reyes. And if I could ask everybody's attention to come please to the podium for our next presentation. And as much as we can, if folks will move their conversations, please, to outside chambers, we'd be very much appreciative. Thank you, Mr. Reyes, and thank you to the Miss Chinatown and the court.
Thank you, Council President. What a great city. Only in L.A. We have a initial ceremony that speaks to our African American community, the great traditions, contributions. But we are very rich. We are very rich in culture, very rich in our population, very rich in our diversity. Members of the council, I would like to wish you a happy Lunar New Year. Gang Hei Fat Choi, Sun Ying Fai Lot. The Lunar New Year, 4707, began on Monday, January 26. For those of you who are unaware, the Lunar New Year, 4707, is the year of the ox. According to legends, in ancient times, Buddha asked all the animals to meet him on Chinese New Year. 12 animals came, and Buddha named a year after each one of them. He announced that people born in a particular year would reflect that animal's personality. If you were born in the year of the ox, you tend to be prosperous through fortitude and hard work. Those born under the sign are stable, persevering, and tolerant with strong character. Not many equal the resolution and fearlessness that the ox exhibits when he or she decides to accomplish a task. Oxen work hard both professionally and in the home. Success will come to them through sustained efforts. Famous oxen include George Clooney, Meryl Streep, Margaret Thatcher, and our president, Barack Obama. No wonder. Members, as you know, each year we celebrate the Chinese New Year with residents from throughout the city, indeed the county and the region. Part of that tradition here in Los Angeles includes welcoming the new Miss Chinatown and her court to our council chamber. So please join me in doing just that as we welcome the 2009 Miss Chinatown and her court to City Hall. One round of applause, please. Thank you. Sponsored by the Chinese Chamber of Commerce, each year the Miss Chinatown contest draws some of the brightest women from throughout the region to see who will have the honor to represent Chinatown at numerous events in the community. Behind me today, we have women who not only have big dreams, but are well on their way to achieving them. We have aspiring doctors, teachers, and entrepreneurs. We have women who have graduated or are attending some of the finest institutions, including Harvard, University of California in Irvine, and yes, University of Southern California. Before I introduce you, to the Queen and the Court, I would like to introduce Mr. Michael Jen, Parade Chairperson for the Golden Dragon Parade and Board Member of the Chinese Chamber of Commerce of Los Angeles. Mr. Jen? Michael? Sir?
Thank you. On behalf of the Chinese Chamber of Commerce, I'd like to thank Councilman Reyes, the City District 1, and the rest of the City Council for all your support in helping us put on the Golden Dragon Parade. As Mr. Reyes said, on Saturday, January 31st, we welcome the Year of the Ox 4707 in Chinatown. Starting at 2 o'clock, we'll have a parade that runs throughout Chinatown, and we expect over 100,000 people to come and visit us on that day. So again, we welcome everyone out there and look forward to seeing everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you members of the 2009 Miss Los Angeles Chinatown Court. I will introduce them now and will be providing their acknowledgement certificates in the photography room. But I'd like to acknowledge Ms. Friendship Joyce Wong. Thank you for joining us, Joyce. Our fourth princess, Suyin Wu. Thank you, Ms. Wu. Our third princess, Jennifer Louie. Thank you, Jennifer. See, they got the wave down already. Our Princess Janice Chan. Our first princess, Melissa Wall. And now, members of the council, please help me in welcoming this year's Miss Los Angeles Chinatown Queen, Lindsay Louie. Please, Queen Lindsay, share a few words.
Thank you so much. Members of the council, thank you and good morning for having us here. What a great way to celebrate the diversity of Los Angeles. The new year is a great way to celebrate the years past and a great way to look forward to the new and exciting things in the year to come. So on behalf of me and my court, thank you and happy Chinese New Year.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lindsay. She's also from Silver Lake as well. And we have great young people who are joining us today. We have the little court. And maybe we can ask you to step to the front so we can see your great costume and traditional dress. We have little King Bryce Louie. There he is with the red crown. Our little queen, Stephanie Wong. Hi, Stephanie. Our little prince, Justin Matthew Lee. All right. And our little princess, Nicole Lee. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and join us at the great Golden Dragon Parade in Chinatown.
Mr. Labange.
Mr. Reyes, I want to thank you and for your leadership in Chinatown and also these great queens and young kings and queens. It's truly a great parade. I'll be there tomorrow. We celebrate our sister cities, but all of you are very special, especially all the University of California, Irvine. Where's your Irvine right there? And then we got some SC Trojans there, and we got some California Bears there. We got it right there. Anybody from Pepperdine, says Janice Hahn. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Congratulations again, and thank you, Mr. Reyes. Our next presentation is by Richard Alarcon, council member from the 7th District.
If I could ask all of the Give Kids a Smile Day folks to step forward. We have 3 different organizations we want to recognize today. Members, as you know, once a month I try to recognize an organization or organizations that are doing things to keep our kids safe. Well, this week it's my pleasure to recognize organizations that are keeping beautiful smiles on our kids by making sure they have healthy teeth. And So it is my pleasure to recognize the LA Dental Society, MEND, which is Meet Each Need with Dignity, and the USC School of Dentistry. This month is, this coming month is, hold on just a second. Thank you. He knows what it is. Hold on just a second. Excuse me. Here we go. February is Children's Dental Health Month, and today I'll be introducing a resolution declaring February 6th, next Friday, Give Kids a Smile Day in the city of Los Angeles. Give Kids a Smile Day is an annual centerpiece to the National Children's Dental Health Month and is observed every year on the first Friday in February and is celebrated during the entire month of February. The National Children's Dental Health Month focuses on providing oral health education to all children despite their economic status, and the Give Kids a Smile Day was designed specifically to provide education, preventive and restorative care to low-income children who do not have access to care. And so this is the 60th year of the National Children's Dental Health Month. And each February since 1949, the American Dental Association has sponsored this day to raise awareness about the importance of oral health. Give Kids a Smile name was first used by the Greater St. Louis Dental Society and a group of dentists who set up a temporary full-service clinic that treated nearly 400 children over 2 days in February of 2002. Since then, the program has grown enormously and in 2008 resulted in treatment of over 480,000 children. Events took place at approximately 1,888 locations. Yes, that was approximately 1,888 locations across the nation with over 47,000 dental team volunteers providing free services to underserved children. So far, as of Tuesday, January 27, 2009, throughout the United States, there are 1,658 programs being planned that will reach approximately 44,817 kids. There are 12,074 participating dentists and 32,165 other volunteers. As you can see, this is an amazing event. So today we want to recognize 3 organizations that have been promoting both of the monthly activities as well as the specific Give Kids a Smile Day. And one in particular is one that I'm very familiar with because I helped establish the dental program, and that is at MEND, Meet Each Need with Dignity. So before I introduce the 3, I want to mention how we started the program at MEND. We were trying to receive a grant from a major health foundation, and they asked for us to conduct a study and demonstrate that the community of Pacoima actually needed dental services. Well, MEND, as you probably know, it does not have a lot of staff to be dedicated to analysis and research and studies. And so we thought, well, what should we do? And what happened was we just went around the neighborhood and started taking pictures of kids' teeth. And the pictures were so egregious and so horrendous that we got that grant and the program was started and has been in place ever since. That is a condition that is not necessarily, it certainly is not eliminated from our society, and I think it is reflective of conditions that are in many communities. So first, let me recognize the Los Angeles Dental Society for the work that they do each and every day. This is a component of the California and American Dental Association and is one of 3 dental organizations that cover the city of Los Angeles. Other dental societies include the San Fernando Valley Dental Society and the West Los Angeles Dental Society. Through its charitable arm, the Los Angeles Dental Society Foundation provides thousands of toothbrushes to school children, battered women shelters, community health fairs, various religious organizations, and many volunteer dentists provide screening and oral health care to children, homeless, and others who cannot afford their care. Of course, there's a shortage of pediatric dentists who specialize in the treatment of children. Over the past 3 years, LADS has participated in a program to help educate general dentists in the special area of treating children. And as part of that effort, approximately 150 50 dentists were trained and have agreed to provide free care to children ages 5 and under. The LA Dental Society is a strong supporter of both Give Kids a Smile Day and National Children's Dental Health Month, and the executive director is here to tell you what that means. Executive Director Sue Merrill. She would rather have her volunteer speak, and he will introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Roger Fieldman. At the LA Dental Society, we are truly blessed to have hundreds of member dentists who regularly donate and give of their time in support of community health efforts. So on their behalf, I thank you very much for this recognition, and thank you.
Okay, now our second honoree is the USC School of Dentistry, which is the cornerstone of the USC School of Dentistry's, the cornerstone of USC School of Dentistry's mission is to address the glaring disparities in oral health of Americans, including children. According to the Surgeon General's Oral Health in America 2000 report, over 108 million people in this country are without dental insurance of any kind. For some for decades prior to the Surgeon General's landmark report, the USC School of Dentistry recognized these disparities in oral health care and founded the Office of Community Health Programs. With the installation of a dental clinic at the USC Neighborhood Health Center in Watts following the riots of 1965, the school began its first extramural community health project. Today, the Office of Community Health Programs operates 8 stationary clinics strategically located where care is needed most, such as the USC Dental Clinic at the Rescue Mission, Union Rescue Mission in downtown Los Angeles, Skid Row. 6 mobile dentistry programs, such as the original USC Mobile Clinic, bring oral health services to the doorstep of underserved areas through unique partnerships and innovative collaborations. The school is also engaged in a variety of programs designed to raise awareness regarding oral health disparities and to encourage young students from underrepresented minorities to consider careers in oral health professions. This year, Give a Kid Smile Day students, residents, and staff will be providing oral health education, dental screenings, and sealant treatments to the children of Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School. Representing the USC School of Dentistry is Dr. Roseanne Mulligan, Associate Dean of Community Health Programs. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I want to thank on behalf of the faculty and the students from the USC School of Dentistry, I want to thank Councilman Richard Alarcon for recognizing the University of Southern California School of Dentistry's contributions to the community, and especially their participation in Give Kids a Smile Day, which, as he said, will be at the Martin Luther King Elementary School, and we're doing that in partnership with Mike Davis from the 48th District, Assemblyman member Mike Davis. And the recognition of the importance of children's oral health comes at such an appropriate time in our history. Yes, we know that February is typically the dedicated month for this, but we desperately need more attention focused on oral health. For this major health issue of our children results in 52 million school hours lost annually by our nation's children because of dental issues. Studies show that there are as many as 1/3 of all low-income children in our state with untreated tooth decay. And I'm privileged to be a part of a current study of the children in LA County that unfortunately is showing the disease rate in our low-income children to be even greater than it is nationally and statewide. Yet, as we know, the current state of the California budget crisis has put the future of our children and dental care coverage for them in jeopardy due to projected 10% cuts in reimbursement rates and caps on children's healthy families coverage. We encourage you, as part of your support of Give Kids a Smile Day and Children's Dental Health Month, to communicate with your state legislators and insist that other ways be found to balance the budget rather than making the cuts that further jeopardize the health and safety of our own children. And as a reminder of your own oral health, we have provided all of the council members with a floss card, easily fits in your pocket, and to show you and emphasize the commitment of USC in the community. We've also provided you with a copy of the USC Dentistry magazine, which highlights so many of our community programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you for the floss card. Maybe we'll do that in the privacy of our homes or something. Our third honoree is MEND, as I mentioned. MEND, Meet Each Need with Dignity, operates a medical, a vision, and dental clinic founded and developed by volunteer healthcare professionals. The clinics assist poor, uninsured, and medically underserved families who otherwise would not have access to these services. I personally watched the development of this clinic and can tell you that they have gone from a one-chair operation to a multi-chair operation with an enormous, beautiful clinic now in place. The clinic offers general dentistry, extractions, and preventive education. When more specialized services are needed, the patients are given referrals to appropriate facilities nearby. There were 3,617 patient visits to the medical, vision, and dental clinics in MEND in 2007. Volunteers include doctors, optometrists, dentists, nurses, nurse practitioners, pharmacists, and others, and gave over 6,000 hours of time to this volunteer program. We focus on the dentist program today, and we have with us Dr. Pedro Romero, a pediatric dentist who treats the children in our community. Dr. Romero is MEND's only pediatric specialist and volunteers with them once a month. Doctor?
Thank you. So it is an honor for me to receive this award. Helping children is one of the things that I like to do the most. And I feel fortunate to be part of the MEND program, and I hope that our work will motivate other professionals to be part of it also. Thank you very much.
Thank you and congratulations.
We are connected to this group because Dr. Tariqa is Daniel Tariqa. Where's Daniel? Daniel Tariqa's father. And we are honored that he is representing the Dental Society, and his son represents beautiful teeth every single day right here in the City Council. And by the way, let me commend all the council members. You have wonderful smiles and teeth. We just don't see them as much as we would like to. But with that, it's my pleasure to present these certificates to these amazing people who are providing these volunteer services to the poor kids in our community who otherwise would go untreated and would suffer. Not just physically in terms of their teeth, but educationally as well, because poor healthy teeth, does that make sense? Poor care for your teeth contributes to a lack of educational performance. So with that, let me present this certificate to USC School of Dentistry, to Meet Each Need with Dignity, and to the Los Angeles Dental Society. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you all over Los Angeles this month.
Thank you. Mr. Cardenas would like to add his good wishes too.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all of you for doing something that very, very few organizations do. Fortunately, we have some semblance of a safety net when it comes to general health care. But when it comes to dental care, it's almost non-existent. And I'm standing before you with straight teeth because there was a dental program basically free attached to my elementary school. And again, it was the only one for miles and miles and miles around. And therefore, 9 out of 10 kids who grew up in Pacoima like I did, and my brothers and sisters, never got to see a dentist while they were under the age of 18, until hopefully they got a job and got some kind of benefits, and then they could finally see a dentist. And the only time poor people usually see dentists is usually when it's really, really too late and they should have had a lot of preventative medicine. So I just want to say thank you so much for doing what you can and for paying attention to something that is critically vital. And you're right, Councilmember Alarcon, studies do show that when people have bad health situations, especially bad dental care, kids miss too much school, etc., and it affects them, and they stumble when it comes to their education. And I also remember as well, and I want to thank you for giving poor families this opportunity, because when I was about 9 years old, my mother, I don't know how got me a retainer, and I remember I cracked one of my teeth skateboarding, and I could see in her eyes she felt bad for me like a mother would, but at the same time, I know the thoughts that were going through her mind. I can't afford to do anything about it. That's what you're dealing with. People who want to care for their families, people who want the best for their children, but they can't afford to do it, and you're making it possible. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. I forgot to mention that my daughter Camila is turning 1 year next week, and she has just 3 teeth. But her mother and I were just talking about buying her first toothbrush. So we it sounds like we're going to get a whole bunch of toothbrushes, but we are committed to making sure that her smile can be as beautiful as it can be because of the kinds of work that you do as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to our honorees. That will finish our presentations for this Friday. We will return now to public comment. Our first speaker is Richard Kearns. Just to remind folks, we have 2 minutes on the clock. After Richard Kearns is Ida Talala. And we'll just clear out the aisle for you. Don't worry, we'll hold the clock for you, Mr. Kearns, while folks come forward. I think we're going to have to use the handheld. Is that correct? Because the microphone is not working at the podium. So just go ahead and pick up that microphone.
I need to use this?
Yes,
okay.
We can hear you.
Good morning, President Garcetti.
Good morning.
Distinguished council members. I've given the clerk a copy of my prepared remarks. My name is Richard Kearns, poet advocate. I'm a 57-year-old gay AIDS activist and long-term survivor. I'm a member of SHAC, the Southern California HIV Advocacy Coalition. I'm an APLA client. I'm a member of Being Alive Los Angeles. I am poet secretary of PAN, the Patient Advocacy Network, a public benefit educational organization for medical cannabis. I've been a participant and presenter at Life Group LA and Shanti seminars for the last 15 to 20 years. I publish AIDSright.org on the internet. I'm a one-person army of volunteers. I'm here today to call on the City Council of Los Angeles to join with the federal government in drafting and implementing a national AIDS strategy with specific attention to actions and priorities that form citywide, countywide, and statewide strategies. Topics should include, but not be limited to, development of aggressive, imaginative, effective, and broad-reaching prevention programs and development of a vaccine, development and implementation of citywide facility-based medical cannabis ordinance. Medical cannabis is the single most significant in-place but unaccessed LA AIDS treatment option available, increasing our survivability on heart treatment 330%. Development of AIDS and aging and assisted care policy and programs, not only to reform the abuses of the current assisted care system, but also to educate those HIVers going in, and ways to look for systematic ways to protect the sick and dying when standards of profit conflict with standards of care. I hope you can move on this as soon as possible. I stand ready to work with the city and its AIDS coordinator, Steve David Simon, and be of whatever service in whatever way I can in this vital, necessary, and life-saving effort. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and we received that. We appreciate that very much. Echo Park's finest, Ida Talala, is our next speaker. After that will be Zuma Dog. And you just have to pick up the handheld there since we're having technical problems. Good morning.
Good morning, Council President and all council members. Thank you for this opportunity to talk to you. I am delighted to be here because I want to thank each and every one of you for the award that was given to Echo Park Tap for 2 big belly solar trash compactor trash cans through the Community Beautification Program. That program does extraordinary things because it truly pulls the community to work in very unusual ways to be very productive for the neighborhoods and the community. And I urge you, given the great joy that I got from putting this project together, and on behalf of all of the members of that project and the many people who wrote letters of support, I would like to ask you to make sure that this community beautification program is not cut as a result of our budgetary concerns, because it does enormous things in the community beyond what the end result is. So thank you very much for this wonderful gift to the neighborhood and to my community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ida. Appreciate your activism. Zuma Dog is our next speaker. After that will be Arnold Sachs. Good morning.
It's good. It's going to be awfully hard for me not to start singing, holding the karaoke style mic. Please, a little song at the end, maybe. It's presentation day. But anyway, yes, my name's Zuma Dog. You might have seen me on the 11 o'clock news the other day. Thank you so much. Yes, and I'm here to prove a mayoral candidate can be serious while wearing Mickey Mouse ears. Because again, on Black History Month, we've heard Martin Luther King say you're supposed to judge by the content of the message. And a lot of people say, Zuma Dog, you know, we'd like to listen to you a lot more if only you dress up a little bit and maybe shave and be more well-dressed. Well, I'm here to say I specifically don't do that. You're not supposed to judge people by what they look like and what they wear, because there's a lot of good people doing good things with good things to say and good information in the city who look like I do with this type of clothing, and they don't get a fair shake here. And so I'm here to represent those people as well. And I'd also like to say on today's agenda, we'll be speaking about $400,000. That's right. On today's special event fee waiver, $400,000 to the Academy Awards. And so please tune in for that. Also, tune in for Zuma Dog Monday morning, 9:30 a.m. I'd like City Council to listen to my agenda and my platform as mayor. I'll be appearing on Doug McIntyre's KABC radio program in his new 9 a.m. hour. Thank you very much. And I'd also like to say watch for the rent escrow REAP coming up on the agenda. I'm here to say the biggest fear of the city is the avalanche of lawsuits that is pending through their rent escrow. And the problem with the rent escrow program is that it's retaliatory against landlords. And you can say, well, so what? Who likes landlords? Well, they pass down the hatred to the renters. So the city on one hand pretends like they're helping low-income people, but when they crack down on the landlords, they're all forced to get kicked out. And finally, so that's coming up, finally, people ask me, Zuma Dog, what are you going to do as mayor? The first thing you need to know about Zuma Dog, Dr. Deming's 14 points. They will be implemented on day one. Please do a Google search on Dr. Deming. I'm the forefather. I'm the top expert in the field. And if I could please continue like Cher, who you didn't cut off. Thank you, Eric. I'd like to say,
Thank you,
Zuma
Mr.
Dog for mayor.
Our next speaker is Arnold Sachs. And after that will be Richard Robinson. Good morning. If you can, pick up the mic. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Arnold Sachs. Thank you so much for removing item number 18 from your agenda today so I can discuss the ready-to-go infrastructure projects and the scam that the city is going to perpetrate on the public but through misrepresentation, misappropriation, and fraud. The mayor's list of projects that he passed out in the Transportation Committee hearing contains numerous projects. Let's just say your city district was listed to get its roads paved. Let's say 7 districts are listed to get their roads paved, but the total funding is $5 million as listed in the project list. Each district is shown getting $5 million. So, although the total funding being requested by the city would be $5 million, if you total the funding that each district is getting, it's $35 million. Quite a difference. And what's so beautiful about this fraud misrepresentation is that the people who are getting the money can turn around and say, oh, your district didn't get it, the other districts got it. So nobody knows. If you went and looked to get public assistance through that kind of program, they'd shoot you and then they'd arrest you. What a fraud. Along the same lines, keep in mind the DWP and the solar paneling program. Notice that none of the proprietary departments, the harbor or the airport, use DWP workers in their greening projects. Why? Because of the expense. But the public pay. That's the way the city operates. In their benefit, pay. Your benefit, who? Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Richard Robinson. After that is Ziggy Cruz. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Mr. President, members, the 2009 Annual Budget Summit in Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas's 2nd District meets tomorrow, January 31st, at 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Hawthorne Memorial Center at 3901 West El Segundo Boulevard. That's in Hawthorne. Reservations 213-346-3246. That's 213-346-3246 for Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas's 2009 Annual Budget Summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Ziggy Cruz is our next speaker. After that is David Bell. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Ziggy Cruz. I'm not used to holding the microphone. So, good morning, council members. I'm pretty disappointed that none of the current people that are running for re-election or seeking a higher office in the city of Los Angeles have agreed to debate their opponents. What are you afraid of? What is it that you don't want to answer? Not you, Mr. Rosendahl.
Excuse me, Mr. President. The conduct of the elections and debates leading up to the elections are not within the jurisdiction of this body.
Okay, so I need to stop now. You're preventing me from public comment on this with a question to directly the representative or the representatives that represent my neighborhood. Is that what you're saying?
I believe the city attorney was just saying, and I can ask him to clarify, that we can have in general public comment things that are under the city's direct jurisdiction, and people can come and talk about, nobody here is allowed to talk about elections. Folks can come and talk about their platforms and things that are under the jurisdiction, but the debates or other things that have to do with the elections are not part of the city's formal power, and that's, I think, the only point he was making.
I hate to ask this question now. Then what's the purpose of the city having elections? If the city council cannot talk about it, or if public comment cannot be made on behalf of the...
And I don't mind talking to you privately. It's a state law. It's not city law, unfortunately. Under the Brown Act, it has to be under jurisdiction.
Can I at least announce that several council or neighborhood councils in the in some districts have requested debates, and that they are willing to host the debates if the incumbents as well as other people that are running for city office, they're more than welcome to join the debates. In other words, just set up the debate and see who shows up. Is that pretty much what can be said? Okay, then that's what I'm doing right now. The East Hollywood Neighborhood Council at their Monday night meeting, they voted unanimously to host a debate. And anybody who is up for re-election, seeks a higher office in the city of Los Angeles, or is no longer, in an office and wants to do it, anybody who is on the ballot, on the March 3rd ballot, 2009, you're more than welcome to join the debate, which will be, sent out to anybody. I can see Mr. Rosendahl is very eager to be part of that, and we'd love to have you there. So thank you for your time, and I hope that, those that show up will actually answer some of the questions that will be brought to them. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your understanding. David Bell is our next speaker. Is David Bell here? Let's see, Mr. Bell. Gary Schlossberg is our next speaker. And after that will be Glenn Doris Boone. Good morning.
Hi, my name is Gary Schlossberg. I'm a candidate for City Council for the 13th District, the seat currently occupied by the City Council President, Mr. Garcetti. I want to just say, based on the last conversation, I'm very happy to participate in debate, and I'm looking forward to one in our district. Since one currently is not scheduled, I want to offer my argument against the land use policy of the city, and I welcome any response so we can continue some public discourse on this issue. I would be remiss if I didn't first mention my disappointment with the City Council's decision regarding the elephant exhibit at the LA Zoo on Wednesday. What we need to realize is there's a deep connection between the level of respect we give to animals in our city and the level of respect we give to the people of Los Angeles. With the important exception of those council members who voted against animal cruelty on Wednesday, you as a council failed us that day. While with animals, our city leadership can be honest about their disregard for their well-being, since animals obviously can't vote, what is really disconcerting is the disregard for the people of LA because of the dishonesty involved with land use decisions. Here are a few examples. The density bonus and developer incentive ordinance pushed through by my opponent allows for developers to build higher and denser if they provide a token percentage of affordable housing units in their development. Likewise, LA Municipal Code 151.28 allows the city to skirt the Ellis Act, which was established to protect rent-controlled units. The net result is a displacement of the current rent-controlled units that currently are there and a few token affordable housing units. As the LA Weekly recently reported, from 2001 to 2007, there's been a loss of 14,000 cheap rental units due to this policy. Lastly, the city's policy of allowing developers to provide less parking for those developments near public transit is misguided as well, since most of those developments are for high-end housing like condos and luxury apartments, the occupants of which are least likely to actually use public transit. Our land use and development policy is broken because it's based on faulty assumptions and dishonesty. On March 3rd, we have a chance for change, and I hope the voters of LA take that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schlossberg. Our next speaker is Glenn Doris Boone. If you can use the handheld microphone, we're having technical difficulties. That one. Thank you so much.
My name is Glenn Doris Boone, and I feel very blessed this morning to see this gentleman because I didn't know anyone had this problem except me. I'm a real example. I've lost a 31-unit building behind REAP. The man put his name on there this time last year. This time last year, the council assigned my councilman to me, but he didn't get back to me. The building is already gone to the man. I hope I could get it back some kind of way with the help of the city. Because the REIT did not allow me to collect those rents in time. It said, no, you must collect your meters. The meters were not connected until, and as soon as they were, then the man stepped right in and started paying my debts and took over the building. I've had the building 20 years. I got the building because I had an eminent domain by the LA Unified School District that broke me down. I had property already paid for 2 duplexes, 2 houses on 4 separate parcels. I was working for the county. I worked 40 years for the County of Los Angeles and Health Services. And I have spent every dime I have in this building. I spent the savings that you have was over $100,000. I paid the building off in 1997, but the REIT caused me to lose the building. And right now, on Monday morning, I go to court at 111 Hill Street because that man that had loaned me money toward that unit building, he is going to take my home at Don Felipe and Don Luis here in Los Angeles. I have my family there. My children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, we all live there because my son was helping me do the building. When we didn't have money, he had to come in with me. And we were all there. We don't have anything. And Monday morning, they're going to put a lien against their home at 3949 Felipe Drive. I have another little house that's rented. They're going to put a lien against that. I have 2 different lawyers after me on account of the REIT did not allow me to collect the rents in time. The building was finished with all the things done in 2005, and they did not release me until 2007. Right here, I was blessed to be released, but as soon as I was released, this man, he chopped right in on me, paid my debts, paid off San Francisco mortgage, and took over the property.
Thank you very much, Ms. Boone. Mr. Parks?
President, we've asked her to go to our office. She's got property in a couple of different city districts, and Dennis Rodriguez is going to help her if we get up to room 460.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parks. Appreciate that. That will close our general public comment. We've had a request to continue item 37 until next Friday. The sponsor of the legislation had to leave. I know we had a couple of folks here. Barbara, would you like to come forward and give your public comment today and have the council hear it, or do you want to wait till Friday?
460.
Next Friday is what?
460.
I believe so. It's going to be in Van Nuys too. Okay. Our apologies. He had to leave. So we'll continue 37 1 week. Again, that will be in Van Nuys. If we can take the next item called special, please.
Item one was called.
Before that, Mr. Parks was waiting.
I'd like to ask us to reconsider 30, 32, and 33 and hear them together. They're a renewal of reward motions.
Okay. 30, 32, and 33. If we can open the roll on reconsideration, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Those will be back before us. We'll consider those together. Let's take the first item called special, please.
Item 1 called special for cards from the public.
Mr. Zuma-Dog on item number 1.
Yes, I'd like to take a moment, just this 1 minute. First of all, this ties into this lady that was just here. I talked about these things, REAP, rent, escrow, And like, here's an example right here. And I'm about to tie it into this, but the mayor comes here and makes his speeches and presentations for his campaign. But it's the REAP rent escrow program that's hurting the people that he's sitting there giving speeches for.
He's off topic on
Okay,
that.
but I'll get back on topic because this is about the lighting districts, okay? Right here, a new thing in the city, and I'm seeing them come through a lot. Whenever I see things come through a lot, I start to pay attention and get nervous. It's ordering maintenance. Okay, assessments for levying of ordering of maintenance, and there's tons of them here, and this is the first thing you do before a REAP. You say, they come through the agenda, oh, we need to do this maintenance and improvements that's on this agenda, and this is just the precursor to retaliatory, shady REAP rent escrow that hurts low-income people and the landlords that own the buildings. More coming up. Zumadog for mayor.
Thank you. That will close our public comment on item number 1. If we can please open the roll on 1, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
And that will carry over 1 week as an ordinance. Next item called special, please.
Item 27, called special for cards.
Okay, Zumadog on item number 27, please. That'll be followed by Glenn Boone.
Yes, okay. And yes, this is what Glenn's here for. This is the rent escrow program. This is the agenda item. Citizens alert. Citizens alert. Low-income renters under rent control and the people that own property, that own the buildings that rent to these people, you are under attack of a vindictive, retaliatory city hall. They are trying to take your buildings. If you are a mom and pop building owner that is leasing to low-income renters, the city, in an attempt to shake out and push out the low-income people that they pretend that they care about, they are doing retaliatory measures on the landlord owners. They say, gee, you need some aesthetic improvements here, you need some aesthetic improvements over here. Well, then the bank says, gee, we will not give you the money to make these improvements. You have to pass the improvements on to the renters. The city says, oh, gee, you can't do that. You're a bad landlord. You're under REAP rent escrow. You don't get to collect the money. The city will collect the money. Well, guess what happens? Then the property owners can't keep up. They lose the building, and then the renters get kicked out. So you can say you don't like landlords, and guess what? You can say, well, I don't like low-income people that are only paying $500 rent. Well, guess what? I'd rather have them pay $500 and stay in a house when the city doesn't do anything for real affordable housing than to have them show up right in front of your house on the sidewalk. This is going to push massive amounts of people onto the street, and worst of all, there's an avalanche. I'm told there are 500 to 700 lawsuits that can be filed, the first of which is being filed in federal court. So Zumadog as mayor has to say, as I evaluate the big pictures in the city, you have a mayor who comes into these chambers when he's running for election and has a big African American History Month celebration where he sits here and panders to the cameras, but then look what he's doing here in these chambers. This is the number one thing that's hurting the people he's supposed to represent. Zumadog for mayor and the retaliatory REAP rent escrow program.
Thank you, Mr. Dog. We have one more speaker. Just as a point of information, renters under rent stabilization cannot be kicked out no matter what, whether it's by the city or a private owner, simply because it changes hands. That they cannot by law. Glenn Boone is our next speaker. Is she still here? I think she's okay. We will close the public comment on this item. We'll be happy to get the housing department to explain part of how some of that works for you, Mr. Dog, as well. Please open the roll. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Item 29, called special for cards.
Item 29, Mr. Dodd. You could come forward, and then Arnold Sachs will be the next speaker after Mr. Dodd.
Please have paramedics. Please have the paramedics ready for me, because I can't believe what I'm about to say. The city of Los Angeles is about to give $400,000 out of the general fund, not to the schools, not for libraries, not for homeless services, not for any of the problems we're having in the city, not for public safety. The city of Los Angeles, these council members, Garcetti, Alarcon, Cardenas, LaBonge, Perry, Parks, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, and Wesson are about to award $400,000 to the Academy Award party. That's right. Let me remind people. Now, Jan Perry was in the newspaper saying that, gee, we can't lose these events to other cities. I'd like to remind City Council, to avoid racketeering and corruption charges, the special event fee is not a business enticement fee. It is not corporate welfare. It's not for private corporations that charge $1 million a minute for the commercials. It's to provide services to the community. And if there's an event that a mom and pop, a nonprofit, they want to have some kind of church event or bake sale or Girl Scout something or other, and it's too expensive, the city says, we'll pick up the tab for this small event because it's only supposed to be a couple hundred, a few hundred, or a couple $1,000s. Okay, so you're saying we're going to put a hiring freeze on police, we're going to be firing people, there's going to be massive cuts in services across the board in the city, while you raise parking meter fees, you quadruple them, triple the trash collection fees, you're going to the voters all the times for more money, and here's $400,000 coming out of the general fund. Now, you say it's a special event fee waiver, but the only person who doesn't get a waive is the general fund. So I'd like to say Zuma Dog is mayor. Hell yeah. First day on the office, we will be looking into this, and if you are getting money from the city of Los Angeles, you will be audited. We don't just give it to patronage crony people like the Academy Awards.
I'll close our general public comments on this item. Sorry, we have Arnold Sachs. My apologies. And then after Mr. Sachs, that is the last speaker. Mr. Sachs.
Yes. Good afternoon, Arnold Sachs. I'd like to address item number D, and I'm hoping relative to declaring the fight on triathlon or a fight on triathlons. When you had the Frank McCourt group come in front of the City Council for a change in the marathon rules for the LA Marathon, I believe one of the rules that were implemented was that marathons could only be run on a Monday. The new change in the laws. Yet a triathlon includes a marathon. And it's being held on a weekend. Isn't that against the law? Specifically stating because they moved the marathon from its new date, Patriots Day, that's celebrated in Boston, because Boston runs their marathon on a Monday, to Memorial Day. And in the article that was written about it, it said, has to be held on a Monday because City Council, new rules. Well, please clarify that. If you have to run a marathon on a Monday, then how can you run it on a weekend? And where are the religious leaders who so adamantly opposed the LA marathons running on a Sunday? Why are they not showing up in council chambers to argue about this triathlon? It's being held on a weekend. It'll interfere with people's ability to worship, such as the marathon, who only had over 20,000 participants. Nickel and diamond stuff. The swarming methods of the City Council. Thank you for your time, your answers, and your attention.
Thank you. Just to clarify, there's not a rule on all marathons. That was just a judgment made on an individual marathon. I hope that helps clarify. If we can open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Items 30, 32, and 33 were called special by Councilmember Parks.
Okay. Mr. Parks?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask that the public's help on 3 homicides that have occurred in the 8th District in which we're renewing reward motions. On January the 13th, 2008, and this is item 30, Rosa Garcia, 35 years old, was discovered dead in an alley near or at the rear of 1504 West Florence. LAPD has not received any information or witnesses that would encourage us as basically solving this. And we'd ask the public, if they have any information, is to call Detective Rich, Criminal Gang Homicide Group, 77th Homicide Section at 213-485-1383 to help us on that particular case. That's a $50,000 reward. And then on item 32, on October 6, 2008, at 11:55 p.m., 3 individuals, Kevin Baldwin, Mikkel Allen, and Armand Johnson, were standing in a driveway at 7519 South Figueroa, and an unknown male fired numerous shots, striking all 3. Mr. Allen and Johnson survived. However, Mr. Baldwin died at the scene. And we'd asked on that case, in the Baldwin case, that they would call community detectives Stephanie Hale or Roger Guzman at the Criminal Gang Homicide Group 77th Division at 213-485-1383, and that's a $75,000 reward. And then the last one is item 33, that on December the 5th, 2008, at 6:50 p.m., Mr. Daryl Jacobs was walking at 6500 block of South Bryanhurst, where he was shot and killed by an unknown suspect. LAPD is still searching for information. We'd ask on the Jacobs case to contact Detective Roger Guzman or Stephanie Hale at the Criminal Gang Homicide Group at 77th at 213-485-1385. I'd ask for unanimous vote on those 3 reward motions.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and open the roll on those motions for rewards. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
And if we can send that, those are approved. If we can send those and item 31 forthwith, all of the reward motions. Next item, please.
Item 35, call special for cards.
Mr. Dog has reached his time, but we will enter that into the record. Any council members wishing to be heard on 35? If not, let's go ahead and prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Mr. President, do you wish to recess the regular and go back to the special meeting?
Yes, please. Let's go to the special meeting.
And item 38 was call special for cards.
Okay. As was mentioned, Mr. Dog, you want to come forward on the special meeting? Yes. And then Mr. Sachs. Give you an extra minute, even though it's the limit. It's a special meeting, so we'll give you a minute to speak.
Oh, thank you. I'd like to just say for the record, the city of Los Angeles, they're doing something that appears to be compliant for the first time ever. I appreciate it. This is about the greening renewable energy resources, and I'd like to tell the people that there is something on the ballot, Measure B, that is also about renewable energy, and Measure B is bad. I'm against it. I thought this was about Measure B. Okay, here's what I'd like to say about this renewable energy plan. We're going to need a real renewable energy plan because Measure B is so bad. It's taking so much heat in the public. Even the LA Times is turning against it. So I do not expect Measure B to pass. So that was the mayor's big plan for solar energy, even though there is no plan and there's no method to achieve the goal. It's going to drive up the DWP bills, and it's a shady, crony plan with the agency in China. So the point is, look for Measure B to go down. So I say we need to really spend time, because the people of LA want renewable energy, but not Measure B. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Is our next speaker on item 38.
Yes, good afternoon again, Arnold Sachs. Measure B, renewable energy, focus on solar energy. The rush for politicians to jump on board this ocean liner has to lead you as the public to be wary of some alternative program that's in mind. There's going to be exorbitant costs associated with this. It's going to be passed on to the public. There was an article in the LA Times yesterday or 2 days ago saying that with all the greening that could be done.
Excuse me, Mr. President, if he could refrain his comments to the actual state legislation.
With all the greening and all the actions taken on renewable energy sources, it will take 3,000 years before any tangible results will occur. This brings to mind everybody's jumping on board the deregulation for the utility companies that occurred at the end of the 90s. And look how that turned out. We had the brownouts, we had the blackouts, we had the cost of utilities skyrocket. This is a similar action. Be very wary. Vote no. Ask your representatives for full disclosure. Look at what's happening with the DWP in the city of LA again, with the solar initiative. Be very wary. Thank you for your time, your answers, and attention.
Thank you. That will close our general public comment on this item. If we can open the roll on this state legislation. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
That is approved. If we can go to the next order of business, please.
Mr. President, do you wish to adjourn the special and go back to the regular?
Yes, but let's send that forthwith in the meantime. And if we can go back to regular business, please.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those motions are posted and referred.
And the desk is clear.
All right, any announcements, colleagues? Do we have any adjourning motions today? We do. If I could ask everybody in council chambers to please rise for adjourning motions. We recognize those who have passed, and we adjourn in their memories during this section. Mr. Rosendahl?
Thank you, Mr. President. Many of us, of course, are aware of what tragedy happened just a couple of days ago. Sergeant Curtis Macy, 41 years old, was driving east on the Interstate 10 in West Los Angeles on his way to work on January 28, 2009, when he was struck about 5 a.m. just west of National Boulevard by a silver Toyota Camry traveling the wrong way. Macy's unmarked police car, a four-door Dodge Charger, was engulfed in flames. The Culver City police officer and long lifetime Pacific Palisadian resident died in the collision. Sergeant Macy, a 17-year veteran of the police department assigned to the Juvenile Detective Bureau, was a highly decorated Culver City officer, having been awarded the City Officer of the Year honor on 3 occasions, and was a recipient of the department's Medal of Valor. Kurt had a tremendous dedication to duty, as well as an admirable drive to protect and serve the public. He was consistently involved in community outreach programs, such as the Culver City Police Department Citizen Police Academy, the CCPD Annual Open House, and the Fiesta La Bayona. Kurt had dedicated his career to youth programs, such as Juvenile Diversion, which mentors at-risk teens, and the CCPD School Resource Officer Program, and the annual Santa Sleigh. Macy is survived by his wife Melody and 3 young children, Emily 10, Nicholas 8, and Christian 3. Was a dedicated father who coached his children in recreational sports leagues and dedicated time to community churches and schools. On behalf of the Macy family, the department has set up a Sergeant Curtis Macy Memorial Fund. Donations can be sent to the Culver City Employee Credit Union at 9770 Culver Boulevard, Culver City. And I say to my constituents in the Pacific Palisades, you can contact my office if you would like as well. May he rest in peace.
Thank you. Other adjourning motions? Mr. Parks?
Good. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask that we adjourn in memory of Christina Rosales and her mother, Teresa Rosales, who were both victims of a arson fire in the 8th District of the Baldwin Vista area on Redondo Boulevard. Christina passed away on January the 16th, and her mother followed on January the 30th. Christina was best known in the community after having taught at Crenshaw High School. She was a graduate of UCLA with 2 master's degrees. She was a respected teacher and has basically instructed Spanish since October 2001 at Crenshaw. Her funeral services are today, January the 30th, at 10 a.m. at St. Agatha's Church on South Banfield. And the interment will follow at Inglewood Park Cemetery. Her mother, Teresa's services are pending.
Thank you, Mr. LaBonge.
Members, I ask we adjourn in memory of John Updike, the tremendous novelist, and also I ask we adjourn in memory of James Brady, who's the columnist for Parade Magazine, a national magazine, who was a tremendous writer as well. James Brady and John Updike. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other adjourning motions? If not, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll, and we will next be in session Tuesday, February 3rd at 10 a.m. here